welcome to session 2 of the module on corporate social responsibility. After the completion of this session, you will be able to understand the CSR scenario in India, explain CSR as a strategic tool, discuss some of the best practices in CSR. The concept of CSR is not new in India. However, what is new today is the shift of focus from making profits to bringing about positive societal transformation. Let's discuss the current scenario of CSR in India with a view on the evolution of CSR guidelines and acts. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs had released voluntary guidelines on CSR in 2009 as the first step towards mainstreaming the concept of business responsibilities. After keeping in view the feedback from stakeholders, it was decided to revise the same with a more comprehensive set of guidelines that encompasses social, environmental, and economic responsibilities of business, which was then released in July 2011. The guidelines released in July 2011 have been articulated in the form of 9 principles with the core elements to actualize each of the principles. For the first time in the history of India, CSR was introduced as part of the Companies Act of 2030. Section 135 of the Companies Act dealt with CSR. Section 135 of the Companies Act is definitely a landmark legislation on CSR. The new mandate has thus provided a healthy environment for corporate India to play a more proactive role in significantly contributing to community development and environmental conservation. The National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct 2018 is an improvement over the existing National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental and Economic Responsibilities of Business 2011. And it is a means of nudging businesses to contribute towards wider developmental goals while seeking to maximize their profits. With this background, let's discuss and understand Section 135 of the Companies Act with greater clarity. Section 135 of the Companies Act 2013 deals with CSR provisions. Section 135 contains 5 subsections on CSR. Schedule 7 of the Companies Act lists out the CSR activities. Section 135(1) deals with CSR Committee of the Board. The section reads that every company having net worth of rupees 500 crore or more, or turnover of rupees 1000 crore or more, or a net profit of rupees 5 crore or more during immediately preceding financial year shall constitute a corporate social responsibility committee of the board consisting of 3 or more directors, out of which at least one director shall be an independent director. So Section 135 mentions as to who qualifies for CSR, wherein every company having net worth of rupees 500 crore or more, or turnover of rupees 1000 crore or more, or a net profit of rupees 5 crore or more during immediately preceding financial year. Once you qualify for CSR, a company needs to constitute the CSR committee of the board. The CSR committee should consist of 3 or more directors, out of which at least one director shall be an independent director. Section 135(1) further states that provided that where a company is not required to appoint an independent director under subsection 4 of section 149, it shall have its CSR committee with 2 or more directors. Section 135(2) deals with disclosure of CSR committee composition in the board's report. The board's report under subsection 3 of section 134 shall disclose the composition of the corporate social responsibility committee. Thus, 135.1 deals with constitution of CSR committee, whereas 135.2 deals with the disclosure of the composition of the CSR committee. Moving on, section 135.3 deals with responsibility of the CSR committee of the board. So as per section 135.3, the CSR committee shall A. formulate and recommend to the board a corporate social responsibility policy which shall indicate the activities to be undertaken by the company in areas or subjects specified in Schedule 7. So it says that one of the responsibility of the CSR committee is formulating and recommending to the board a CSR policy. And it also needs to suggest, or it also needs to indicate the activities that the company will be undertaking under its CSR initiative, and the activities has to be in line with the areas or subject that is specified under Schedule 7. B. Recommend the amount of expenditure to be incurred on the activities referred to in Clause A. So it is just not about indicating the activities as per Schedule 7, but also recommending the amount of expenditure with respect to each activities. C. Monitor the CSR policy of the company from time to time. Section 135.4 deals with responsibility of the board. So section 135.4 states that the board of every company referred to in subsection 1 shall, after taking into account the recommendations made by the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee, approve the corporate social responsibility policy for the company and disclose the contents of such policy in its report, and also place it on the company's website, if any, in such manner as may be prescribed. So it is the responsibility of the board to approve the CSR policy for the company, at the same time disclose the content of the policy in its report, and also place the CSR policy on the company's website. B. Ensure the activities are included in corporate social responsibility policy of the company are undertaken by the company. Section 135.5 deals with the CSR expenditure. The board of every company referred to in subsection 1 shall ensure that the company spends in every financial year at least 2% of the average net profits of the company made during the 3 immediately preceding financial years in pursuance of its CSR policy. So what is the CSR expenditure? In every financial year, at least 2% of the average net profit of the company made during the 3 immediately preceding financial year, provided that the company shall give preference to local area and areas around it where it operates for spending the amount earmarked for CSR activities. Provided further that if the company fails to spend such amount, the board shall in its report made under Clause O of the subsection 3 of section 134 specify the reasons for not spending the amount. So it further goes on to state that while spending the CSR money, preference has to be given to local area and area in and around its area of operation. Further, it also states that if a company fails to spend the amount earmarked, it has to provide a reason, or it has to report the reason for not spending. So it is mandated the CSR reporting component. As mentioned earlier, Schedule 7 provides a list of areas or activities under which the companies can invest their CSR fund. It has also been suggested that Companies can go on to make a liberal interpretation of the various items that are mentioned under Schedule 7. The first include eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition, promoting healthcare including preventive healthcare and sanitation including contribution to Swachh Bharat Kosh set up by the central government for the promotion of sanitation and making available safe drinking water. The next is promoting education, including special education and employment enhancing vocational skills, especially among children, women, elderly, and the differently abled, and livelihood enhancement projects. Next, promoting gender equality, empowering women, setting up homes and hostels for women and orphans, setting up old age homes, daycare centers, and such other facilities for senior citizens, and measures for reducing inequalities faced by socially and economically backward groups. Fourth, ensuring environmental sustainability, ecological balance, protection of flora and fauna, animal welfare, agroforestry, conservation of natural resources, and maintaining quality of soil, air, and water, including contribution to Clean Ganga Fund set up by the central government for rejuvenation of River Ganga. Next, protection of national heritage, art and culture, including restoration of buildings and sites of historical importance and works of art, setting up public libraries, promotion and development of traditional art and handicrafts. Sixth, measures for the benefit of armed forces veterans, war widows, and their dependents. Training to promote rural sports, nationally recognized sports, Paralympic sports, and Olympic sports. Contribution to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund and any other fund set up by the central government for socio-economic development and relief and welfare of the scheduled caste tribes, other backward classes, minorities, and women. Ninth, include contribution to incubators funded by central government or state government or any agency or public sector undertaking of central government or state government, and contributions to public funded universities, IITs, national laboratories, and autonomous body established under the auspices of ICAR, ICMR, CSIR, DAE, DRDO, DBT, DST, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, engaged in conducting research in science, technology, engineering, and medicine aimed at promoting sustainable development goals. 10th include rural development projects. 11th is about slum area development, and 12th is disaster management including relief, rehabilitation, and reconstruction activities. After discussing Section 135 of the Companies Act, let's move on and discuss CSR as a strategy. The linkage between strategy and CSR is quite noticeable. CSR becomes strategic when it fetches substantial economic benefits to the firm in particular, supporting the core business activities and thereby contributing to the accomplishment of its mission in the optimal manner and reaching the firm and the society at large. Lee and Loxton in 1996 suggested that there are 5 dimensions of corporate strategy that are critical to the success of CSR process in terms of value creation by the firm. They are centrality, which means CSR initiative should be close to the firm's mission and objectives. B. Specificity. Strategic CSR initiatives should specifically benefit the firm. The firm should be able to capture the benefits of the CSR activities. Third, proactivity. CSR initiatives should focus on the dynamics of stakeholder expectations, that is, to capture the changes in socio-environmental, political, and technological factors. Fourth, volunteerism. CSR decisions should be discretionary and thus they should be taken by the firm voluntarily. Last, visibility. Strategic CSR initiative should build firm's image and add up to the goodwill by creating positive media attention. It can also mitigate negative image of the firm. The Company Act proposes for implementation of CSR as per project mode. So what do we mean by project mode? An activity under CSR will qualify as project when it includes the following. The first is the baseline survey. A baseline survey defines the pre-operational exposure condition for the set of indicators that will be used to assess achievement of the outcome. The baseline study forms the basis for a before and after assessment or a change over time assessment. Without baseline data to establish pre-operational condition for outcome and impact indicators, it is difficult to establish whether change at the outcome level has in fact occurred. A baseline study also helps an organization to identify need-based projects. For a CSR activity to qualify under project mode, the project should have a specific duration, the start date, the end date need to be mentioned, amount allocated to the project. The project has to be then broken down into milestones. There has to be a systematic process of monitoring and documentation. It is also required that we have concurrent and final evaluation, and finally the impact assessment needs to be carried out. An impact assessment is important because it is a continuous process and an important tool for assessing the consequences of possible and actual programs and the present relevance. We now move on to the last part of the module, that is the best practices in CSR. Let's discuss some CSR initiatives in the area of health, education, environment, skill development by some of the prominent organizations in the country like ONGC, NMDC, TCS, Tata Steel, and HDFC. Some of the best practices carried by ONGC Limited include Clean Himalayas initiatives. ONGC is among the first company to have undertaken a cleaning initiative in the high mountain peak of Himalayas. In the financial year 2018-19, 9 cleaning initiative has been undertaken in partnership with Indian Mountaineering Foundation. The team succeeded in bringing down 130 tons of garbage for eco-friendly disposal. Another unique initiative of ONGC is the Green Soul, a unique initiative for providing soles to the underprivileged. Shoes donated by ONGC employees and others were remolded and transformed into new footwears for school-going students belonging to underprivileged families. The pilot project was first carried at Hazira and later replicated in Delhi. 22,101 underprivileged children from Daribad, Odisha, Lalitpur, Uttar Pradesh, and Nizamabad, Telangana villages were benefited through this project. Another interesting project of ONGC is the Bio-CNG plant at Haridwar. ONGC has undertaken a unique initiative in Haridwar to convert cow dung to useful fuel and value-added products by setting up a Bio-CNG cum fertilizer and bottling plant at Haridwar. It is run by the largest Gosala in Uttarakhand. It is facilitating availability of clean environment to the local population. The plant is also producing organic solid and liquid fertilizers which are distributed among the local farmers, thereby promoting organic farming. NMDC Limited has done some exceptional work in the area of education, especially education of tribal students. Its projects include Shiksha Sahyog Yojana, wherein scholarship is given to tribal students beyond 8th standard. It has benefited nearly 18,000 students. Balika Shiksha Yojana, which is sponsoring 40 tribal girls to nursing courses. It has also set up an educational hub in partnership with the government of Chhattisgarh, which is a concentrated facility of educational institution to provide world-class infrastructure in the midst of the backward Dantwara district. TCS again has a very unique initiative in the area of education which is called the Lab on Bike program. The Lab on Bike program provides children from low-income, disadvantaged communities and their teachers with fun learning opportunities that foster a scientific mindset. The Lab on Bike instructor travels to government schools with a set of science experiment kits through which he conducts experiment in physics, chemistry and biology. The Lab on Bike program has been implemented by TCS in 12 schools around Bengaluru and 10 schools in Ahmedabad in association with Agastya International Foundation. The last in this set of best practices is by HDFC. It has got its flagship program called the Holistic Rural Development Program. There are various initiatives that is taken under this flagship program, which includes educational infrastructure, healthcare, natural resource management including micro water waste management, irrigation, soil and water conservation. HDFC's program spans across 17 states and has reached over 3.6 lakh households in more than 1100 villages of the country. The bank has set up over 1200 schools, facilitated better learning opportunities for over 1.45 lakh students. They have trained 72,500 lakhs farmers, distributed more than 10,800 biomass stoves, and have set up over 460 libraries under their flagship program. Thus, we can say that Indian companies have been undertaking a lot of community development initiatives as part of their CSR. Introduction of CSR as part of the Act has paved a new way for companies in undertaking more relevant and need-based CSR activities leading to inclusive growth. CSR definitely is a concept beyond law, but it is expected to be implemented in a systematic, integrated, project-based approach with top management accountability and transparency in terms of reporting is a better approach to sustainable and strategic CSR. CSR thus is a way of conducting business by which corporate entities visibly contribute to the social good. With this, we come to the end of this module. I hope you found the session interesting and useful. Thank you and happy learning.